Thank you, folks. Thank you for staying. Please welcome the director of the film, Carion. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for bringing us this really beautiful film. I get emotional every time at the end. I hope we're not alone with that. Tell me, where did this start? Where did this story come from?
It's coming from an email. It's okay.
Should be on. It's on.
Sorry. I said it's coming from an email. I received the script by email. You know, I received sometimes a lot of scripts, and most of the time I said, no, I'm too busy, and so on, because I dislike. But this one, I read it in a train and between Paris and Lyon. And arriving to Paris, I was crying. So I said to myself, well, it must be, it means something. And I know because I lost my mother 2 years before everything starts. So, I mean, the production of this movie. So by reading the script, many souvenirs came back. So I called the writer and I said to him, bravo. I need to rewrite, to put some very personal things inside, but everything is already there. It was written for Lynn Renault, and I thought it was a very good idea. And I suggest Danny Boone to come and play the taxi driver, because Danny and Lynn, they know each other for a very long time, and Danny used to say that Lynn Renault is his second ma. So I said it will be very special for these two actors to play together. And when Danny read the script, he called me and he said, I want to do it because I'm the only one able to make the last journey for Lynn Renault. I said, okay, it's a good reason to work with us. And everything was easy, in fact, because Lynn was very... She worked a lot to prepare this movie. She was 93 when we shot it. And so I organized everything around her because she's 93. And she said, well, I love to work, but only in the afternoon. All right. So, okay, so we organize and we shoot the flashback, the past, in the morning with a young crew. And the afternoon, it was nowadays with Lynn Renault and Danny Boone. And I must confess you that we lie. I mean, we didn't drive in Paris. It's because I love Paris by night. I hate Paris by day, because really to drive in Paris today is just a dream. It's not possible anymore. So I said to my crew, if we really drive inside Paris with her, she will die and we will die with her. So let's not do it. So we imagined a system. We shot in a studio. The car was not driving. We put around the car huge screens with high definition, 4K. But we spent 3 months before to drive in Paris, the real journey we need to do, with a system behind, with many cameras shooting in front, behind, on the left, on the right, even the sky. And then we make a huge work of editing to get the best of Paris, because we shot morning, afternoon, by night, under the rain, under the sun, anytime. And then we had the best, yes, Paris we expected. And then we called the actors and we said, we are ready now. And when they sit inside the car, we play, and you can see all around the car as if we were driving. And Lynn used to say, I love it because I don't move and I fly. Yes.
It's like how they used to do it in the old Cary Grant movies. They used to, have like the projections of the
Yeah,
city around you.
yeah, exactly.
You made it look a little more real than it did in the old films.
But I have I love the old movies. I love to see that they try to do their best at that time, and but everybody accept the illusion. Cinema is illusion. We are liars, but we lie to tell you our truth. So the way. So we lie with the screens like they used to lie during the 50s and 60s. Remember Hitchcock movies and so on. But yes, nowadays it's easier because of the technology. And even for Danny, who was the driver, he said, it's crazy because I'm sick by driving in the studio. So during the morning, we had all the old apartment, then break, because in a French movie, it's very important to eat, as you know, Mathieu. And then she arrived. She arrived around 1 p.m. We spent 1 hour to prepare, to talk, to listen to her, because she was a great singer. She was, she spent 15 years in Las Vegas. In the casino, and dancing and singing. She was very close to Sinatra, very close to Dean Martin. She made an album with Dean Martin. She has a very great song named "Relaxez-vous" with him. You should find this song. And she's the only French citizen to have a street with her name in Las Vegas. Wow. But so we spent 1 hour listening all the music, the songs, and then she was ready. She came to the car. Danny have 2 or 3 jokes by day. So she laughed and action, and we play.
Does sound relatively easy. I want to go back to the beginning for a moment. You said that part of that there's were a couple of changes, and you had to put in your own personal experiences into there. Can you share with us some of those?
I can't remember now. There was a lot of. We talk a lot about jazz, but it was not these songs in the first version. I decided to change because I wanted to make a connection between what we hear, the songs, and the life, Madeleine's life. So that's why I decided to choose female singers and black female singers. Because I said to myself, these women have to fight much more during the 50s and the 60s to be listened, to be a star. And I love Etta James. I'm a really big fan of Etta James, especially At Last, this song. And Bitter Earth with Dinah Washington is my favorite version. And it means, of course, something to listen to Bitter Earth when we are with Lynn Renaud thinking about all her past. So, that was this. The way they get out of the car when they arrive to the hospital. Because I remember when I drive my own mother over there. Things like this.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I really love about the film and what makes good drama is that transition that the characters go throughout the process of the film and watching them change. And I'm curious to your work with them, especially, of course, the driver, seeing his change as their relationship develops.
Mm-hmm.
How you built that?
We talk a lot with the taxi driver in Paris. And they said, well, there are different situations. Most of the time, the people don't want to talk. They are sitting on the back. They are watching their emails, writing, calling. But we don't have any connection. But sometimes people take advantage of these 15 or 20 minutes to forget their own life and to try to talk with the driver. and we have a lot of stories about what the people said. It's like I'm Catholic, and there is what we call the confessional. When we have to tell all our sins to the priest, and sometime in the taxi, the people talk about their sins to not the priest, but the driver. It could be very intimate. It's very close, and they are just alone inside the big city, and because of the traffic jam, you have time to talk, and they did sometime. So I love this idea, and this movie is based on that kind of situation. I mean, she wants to talk. It's a journey in the space in Paris, but also in her past.
Yeah. I always had the idea, you could all steal this idea now, of an Uber therapist. You spend time in the taxi, you never have time for therapy, and this will save money on their rentals. You call an Uber therapist,
maybe,
know?
It's a new version of Uber. Yeah. You can drive and talk.
It's more expensive. Lie down in the back.
It's more expensive.
Put on a seatbelt. And they'll get you to wherever you need to go at the same time, both emotionally and physically.
Maybe.
I'll ask one last question, then we'll take some questions from the audience. So please, folks, be a part of this. But do you know what inspired the writer originally? Where is this connected to his life in any way?
No, there is, we have sometimes, the start is kind of legend, the legend of an old woman here who take a cab and have to go on her last destination. And we start with this, and then we wanted to talk about domestic violence, for sure. Yeah. And, here the US is the last territory for the release of the movie, but we go all around the world with the movie. I'm very, very happy of that because it doesn't happen in every time. And, in China, Japan, Germany, Brazil, and so on, everywhere, at the end of the screening, some people came to me and said, I know what you are talking about, domestic violence for myself, for my sister, in my family. So everywhere it happened. There is no civilization without, domestic violence. In France, since 10 years now, for instance, we decided to count the number of women who died because of domestic violence, and each end of year, we have a last number for people to understand, to have the conscious of that kind of situation, which is very difficult because it's very private. It's in the family, so it's a lot of secrets. And we have to change our law to be able to condemn someone who is violent against her wife, and to say, no, this is not correct, and you will go to jail now. But it's a fight. It's a huge fight.
And so important to... Sadly, this one takes, from the past, and you think, oh, this was something that existed in the 1940s, 50s, but no, it's in our very day. Thank you for sharing that. I would love to take some questions from the audience. We'll pass around the microphone right here.
Thank you. I actually did my doctoral thesis on domestic violence. Growing up, my father, who was a psychiatrist, was very, very violent toward my mother and all of the children. And so it cuts through all economics, poor, rich, and hidden, and secrets. And I'm just wondering what aroused that in you to bring out the domestic violence in a film?
It's a very difficult question. as I told you, first of all, in the script, the idea of domestic violence was there, and I was very... We don't have any domestic violence in my family, if it's the question. But I know in my neighborhood some situation. I look young, but I'm not so young. I'm 61, and during the 70s, I remember the 70s. And during the 70s, all that kind of question was totally taboo. We knew, and we didn't dare to talk with the people about that. And so in fact, sort of way, by our silence, we accept the situation. I understood this later because I was just a kid. Didn't have time to talk about this with my parents. It was the 70s. It was our society of that moment, in France. I believe it's coming to change. It will be very long. Why some people have violence inside them against women, I can't understand, and I don't have any answer to that question, because it's everywhere. It's not a question of level in the society, of education or whatever. No. Which is more difficult to understand. But anyway, I believe that talking about this is the best way to try to avoid some new case of domestic violence, maybe.
We got a question up here.
This really isn't a question, but I just wanted to thank the filmmaker for, I thought the movie was a gift, a special gift, and doesn't come along very often. Thank you. That's it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, it's a huge question we ask every director when we start to work. Does it mean something to do it or not? Because I'm going to spend 3 years of my life with this. So you have to be very, first of all, sincere with yourself and honest. And maybe at the end, the audience can feel something. And when it happens, yes, you can believe in God.
Mm-hmm. We have another question.
I see one last question. Thank you.
Hi, actually, I have two questions. How is your star doing these days? Is she okay? And where in Paris is that first scene when the driver picks her up at the home? What part of Paris is that?
I'm going to sell a map of a movie, and you will see from the start to the end where we go. Lynn Renault is fine. We celebrate on July her 95 years old anniversary. Everybody was there, 150 people. The previous president and the new one. Everybody, because she is the great mother of all our nation, in sort of way. She's very... everybody knows Lynn Renault, even in Las Vegas, as I told you. But so she's fine. She was not able to drive, not to drive, but to come outside of France. She called me when I start the previous week, because she said, "So you are going to New York? How lucky you are! I would have loved to come." Tell all my love to the US, but I have to stay at home.
We would have done the screening in the afternoon just for her.
All right, I will tell her. And she always, every 2 weeks, she called me and said, "What are you doing? Are you working on your new script for me or not?" said, yes, I'm thinking about. But I don't know if it will be possible to work again, but if it doesn't happen, I'm very happy to have worked with her on driving Madeleine. She is our Madeleine.
Can we take one last question over here? We're gonna pass you the microphone. Here it comes,
Here.
so everyone can hear.
There was an interesting dynamic in the son. She was protecting her son, or she tried to, but at the same time, her husband, being abusive to her, was also abusive to the son. And as much as the son may have felt protected by his mother as much as she was able to, he also identified with the aggressor of the father in some way. Once she was in jail, instead of having compassion for his mother for having gone to jail in the process, he was angry at her for, one, not being there for him, and his identification was with this horrible, aggressive father figure. On some level, because he went away, he abandoned her when she came out, and then he went away to war, which it was kind of turning on himself.
What do you think?
I think we have to call the actor. Well, this is your opinion. What I love in this movie and in cinema, it's, as we said in French, clair-obscur. This is not, you can believe what you say. This is not my opinion, but it's open.
And one
for
should
me-
always
for me, it's
ask
because-
themselves what the viewer needs to, why they're bringing that interpretation to their experience. So we throw it back at you.
No.
Folks, the film is opening this weekend at the Quad Cinema. Please tell your friends, it's such a gem.
Yes, I need you. I need you because if you love a movie, please tell to anyone, your relative, your family, everybody, because they will trust you much more than I. Thank you so much.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It was great to
Great audience. Great.